Your corporate job has given you everything you already need to build a six-figure business. But here's the thing, I'm not going to give you a motivational pep talk on how to follow your dreams and quit your 9-to-5 and start this dream business, because that's not what you need. I'm going to actually give you pragmatic step-by-step principles that you can use to take the same skills that you're currently doing at your job and making more money by turning them into an online business. I know this works because I have helped clients use this exact strategy to go from making $0 to making $10,000 a month in as fast as 90 days. And I've even helped some clients earn $10,000 a month using skills from their corporate job in as fast as 30 days. So this is all practical things that I've tested with myself and clients, and I'm gonna give it to you today so that you can build the path to legitimately escaping your 9-to-5 job. I actually remember a specific moment that helped me understand that I was going to do everything required to quit my 9-to-5 job. I was working as a project manager and then turned marketing director at a marketing agency. And part of my job involved looking at all the contracts that came in from clients. So I looked at each one of those contracts and I just looked at what the clients were paying the company compared to what they were paying me. And, although I understood logically that that's what companies have to do, they have to pay you less than what you're worth in order for them to make a profit. But actually seeing those numbers kind of pissed me off, frankly, and really inspired me to do what I could to just take my exact skills and put them on the market and then just earn what I was actually worth instead of getting like a tenth of what I was worth at the company. And so that's what it hit me. Like, your skills are worth so much more on the open market. The only thing that the companies are doing for you is kind of helping bringing in clients in the door and maybe giving you a little bit of job security. But even in today's times, job security isn't a real thing. People are getting laid off constantly. People are being replaced by AI. People are competing with you for jobs all over the world. So instead of trying to get a job that doesn't even provide the safety it used to and make less money than you would on the open market, you might as well go out on your own and take those same skills and make a lot more cash, which is exactly what I'm going to show you how to do right now. Most people think they need brand new skills to start a business, but here's something that most people don't tell you. The skills that you have at your job could be worth 2, 3, 5 times more if you just sell them to clients. You can make more money doing the same exact thing that you're doing at your job. Therefore, you don't need new skills. You just need a better way to package the existing skills that you have so that you can use them to make more money. So here's exactly how to do this. First, you want to ask yourself these questions. What role do businesses already hire for that you have experience in? What do you do in your current job that other companies would need? What parts of your job come naturally to you that other people might struggle with, right? So when you take the answers to those questions, what you're going to end up with something is called a fractionalized service, right? So there are examples of people like fractionalized CFOs, fractionalized Salesforce consultants, fractionalized operations managers, right? So the things that you're already doing in your job can be translated into businesses. Or let's say you just have a skill straight up from your job, like you're a programmer, you're a designer, conversion rate optimization, like you just know something from your job, and the only thing getting in your way is that you don't think you can go out and sign the clients yourself, right? Well, the thing is that you can, and another interesting insight for you to look at is like the things that you do to build a business aren't that different from the things that you're doing or that you did to get the job you have now, right? So right now, you are still doing everything required to build a business, so you just have one client, which is your employer. You had to go through steps to get that job, that client, that are similar to the steps that you would use to get clients in the real world. So if you can fill out a bunch of job applications and write a cover letter and send a bunch of LinkedIn connection requests and try to build a network to get a job, you can learn how to send pitches so that you can land clients. If you can go into an interview and sell yourself to that company, that means that you can go and sell your product or service to companies in the open market, right? So the skills that you think are a universe different than what you have right now, they're not. Like, you're already doing everything required to get clients. You're just doing it for less money because you're afraid to go out there and kind of take a risk when it comes to reaching out to people, but it's actually not as hard as you think. So here's the rationale behind this. So like a lot of companies are looking for help, but they don't want to take on full-time hires, right? They're looking to get leaner. And so what they're doing is they're utilizing a lot of these, let's call them fractionalized services. And so what they get to do is pay less than what they would pay a full-time employee, but then then for you, what you can do is, even though that number is less than a full-time employee, for each client you work with, the combined retainers that you're getting from an entire client roster is going to be more money than what you're making at your job. And as we all know, like a lot of times in corporate work, really a lot of the workers at the job, they really are only working 2 out of the 8 hours. Like most people actually aren't really working that much or that hard. So if you can become efficient with your time and learn how to take what you do and solve that problem at scale, and then you can create systems and SOPs and practices inside of your business that make the deliverables easier to provide to clients, then you can begin to help a wider range of clients, which means you can multiply your income. And then as you get more skilled and professional as an entrepreneur, you can even learn to do the same things your company did with you. You can learn to hire contractors yourself and have staff to deliver these things, right? So like you can go the full path to becoming the company that you once worked for, right? That entire thing is available to you, and you just need to kind of lean in and understand that how possible it is and how transferable the skills you have actually are, right? So now that we've talked about how seamless of a transition it is, let's talk about the actual strategies, because it's nice for you to just know that it's possible, but you need the actual frameworks that are going to show you how to do it. And so I'm going to explain that part in this next section. So you need a couple of things in order to take your skills out on the open market and begin signing clients. So you're going to need a clear and compelling social media profile that explains what you do and how you can help people, right? So if you're servicing B2B clients or you're helping them with the skill from your job, the best place to do that is to go on LinkedIn, right? So you go on LinkedIn and you make sure you have a clean and clear headshot. You have a bio that says, hey, I help businesses do this. I help companies fix the operational chaos in their business so that they can save more time. I help companies with fractionalized financial reporting services so that they can track their numbers and grow healthy businesses, right? So you take what you do, talk about the fact that you're a fractionalized version of it, and that you're gonna be able to help these companies come in and solve their problems. So once you have the clear profile that lays out who you are, what you do, and how you help, you move on to this next step. You wanna start making connections with people at these potential companies, right? So you're gonna use tools like LinkedIn Premium, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and you're gonna start finding these decision makers, and you're going to start sending connection requests and making connections. You're not going to immediately try to sell these people. You just want to begin making connections with people who could be of interest to end up buying your offer. And so if you send a connection request and it shows on your profile what you do, a lot of companies, they might just be in the need for that right now. So either the founder or one of the decision makers, like if they see your profile, they'll say, oh, actually, we were kind of thinking of needing something like this. And so a lot of the times in business, really just putting yourself out there and being at the right place at the right time is really valuable. Like a lot of these companies are actively looking for this type of help. I've used fractionalized services inside of my business. A lot of business owners are looking for people like this. And sometimes it's as easy as putting yourself in front of them, right? So you're going to want to send connection requests to 20 people per day, either founders or decision makers at this company who you can help. And then you can move on to the next step. All right. And so in this last step, what you're going to do is you're going to start building relationships so that you can turn some of these companies into clients, right? So like I said, you're not just going to spam approach and just say, hey, I can help you do this, this, and this. That's not how it works, right? So you're going to do a combination of things. You're going to be making connections with those companies, and then you're going to be engaging with these companies on a regular basis, or these founders or decision makers, right? So this means going to their profile. If they are posting content, leaving comments and tagging their names, endorsing them for certain skills, sending them a DM with a thoughtful compliment on something going on in their company, or even just pointing out some interesting hobby that they're talking about in their profile, right? So do something to not sound like a robot spammer like most people are on LinkedIn. Then as time goes on, you can continue to build the relationships, right? So maybe you send them a free asset or something that's helpful, or an article about something trending in their industry. And then as the relationship warms up a little bit, then you can start asking probing questions like, hey, I noticed that you have a company that's, has about 5 to 10 employees right now. Usually like companies with that size can run into some things, with their operations that might be preventing them from growing the business. Like, are you experiencing anything like that right now? Right? Then you can move down the train, right? What are some of the specific challenges and problems you're dealing with in your business? Where are you versus where you want to be with your business, right? So as long as you actually build a little rapport beforehand, you'd be surprised how some of those conversations can go. And then you want to have this last piece in your tool belt that's going to really help explode your business. The last thing you want to do in terms of building on social media is you want to have content that's demonstrating that you can solve the problems for these businesses, right? So you want to talk about the pain points these businesses are experiencing. You want to talk about the frustrations that business owners are going through. You want to talk about the short-term goals for these businesses and the long-term aspirations. If you're doing, let's say, like operations consulting, for example, that's a good good example. I mean, an offer that works well, you could start planting little seeds with your content. It's like, okay, little phrases like, all right, if you can't take a break from your business for 2 weeks without things breaking, that means you have operational problems, right? You built your business to give you freedom, and now you're working 80-hour weeks because you don't know how to delegate and it's stressing you out. Your business isn't going to be able to grow from 6 figures to 7 figures until you have systems and operations in place to help manage the team, right? So you see how like you're creating those pieces of content, planting those seeds in their mind, and then as you're reaching out to people, making connections, doing all of these things, you're going to start to become like rise to the top of the consciousness of these companies, right? And so through that process of having a clear LinkedIn profile that's talking about what you do and how you can help, creating content on a daily basis, sending connection requests, building rapport, and having conversations, eventually getting these people on sales calls and closing them, you can begin to sign your first clients. The last thing that you want to do to make sure that this strategy works really well is to make sure that you are creating an offer at a price point that positions you at premium so that you can make a lot of money with your client-based business, right? So what happens is a lot of people, when they try to fractionalize themselves, when they try to become freelancers, they try to aim for the lowest common denominator. They try to price what they think is reasonable, or because you don't realize that your clients have a lot bigger budgets than you would have if you bought something, you price it in a way of what you think you would pay for it versus a company that by its very nature has a lot bigger a budget to pay you. So it's not a problem for them to pay you $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month. Let me even tell you a quick story about positioning it as premium and why it's so important and why it's so key that you get this part right. So I have a client. He is a senior product designer who is now doing private consulting for heads of product design at companies, or he is going in and doing presentations and workshops for entire design teams, right? So he has this particular way of doing design, data-informed design that helps turn design into, ROI metrics that speak to the board and the execs that help them understand the business impacts of their design so that they can get their designs approved so that they can grow their influence and income and impact at the companies, right? So what he decided to do and what we worked on together, instead of positioning himself as a commodity, what we did was put together an offer so that he could coach the entire design team at once, right? So a lot of these companies have discretionary training budgets for their employees or so that they can get better at the skill, right? So like certain types of companies need their employees to do continuing education to perform well. So what Kai pitched is going to these companies and say, hey, why don't you just take the discretionary training budget you had for all of your design team and just give it all to me and I'll just teach them all at once. And that's exactly what happened. So he landed a $40,000 contract with a design company doing just that, right? So that's an example of someone who otherwise in his corporate job as a designer maybe could make a couple $100,000, but now he's able to collect $40,000 to deliver a simple series of workshops. So that's something that he could repeat and scale and help him build a much massive or much bigger income than he was than just kind of thinking small like most people do. So you want to figure out the way to position yourself as premium in order to justify those prices so that you can make a lot of money with your skills. So that is the entire strategy in a nutshell. And you can see how powerful it is when you can transition from skilled professional who works in a corporate environment to taking those same skills and bring them out into the open market so you can make a lot of cash, right? So the high level strategy is great, but there's a lot of nuance into this entire process, from the sales, the marketing to persuasion. Like there's a lot of different things you need to know. So if you're interested in implementing this model and you don't want to go through the entire trial of error of doing it yourself, here's what I suggest. Go to the description and you'll see a link to book a call with me. And what we're going to do is we're going to strategize how to take your corporate skills and pick and isolate the variables of your skill set that we can use to build a business and make money. And then we're going to put together a plan that we can roll out to those businesses. So keep in mind, this is a call where you're going to talk about making an investment with me in order to implement that plan, but there is no obligation to buy upfront unless you think the value is 100% there. So if you're open to the idea and you're willing to make an investment, if the value that I provide matches that, book a call in the link below. We'll talk, we'll strategize about your business, and we'll put together that plan to help you replace your corporate salary with an online business income.